All right, let's be honest here. Running a woodworking business out of a two-car garage is hard. There's not enough space. There's a lot of issues that you run into. Easy one to do is take off one of your garage doors and put in a wall, which I did. Now, there are a lot of ideas out there about working in a garage in a small space. One of those, the obvious one, is to make sure everything's on wheels so that you can move it around. That goes without saying, but there are a lot of things in this shop that I love, and there are a lot of things that I hate. There are things that I had to set up the way that I did because of my space, and there are things that I've changed and fixed over time. Now, one of the things that happened is as my business grew and my lumber storage grew, I'm not saying that it's because of the lumber storage I had to expand, but that certainly played a part in it. I also got new and better tools. I got bigger machinery. I got all sorts of things that I had to fit in this space, and making it work for me, making it the most efficient is really important. So what I want to do today is I want to do a shop tour, but I want to show you the things that I hate in my shop, the things that I fixed, and how I fixed them. Because really what my hope is that you're going to come back to me and you're going to say, I did this in my shop and it made a difference, or I did this in my shop based on your idea and this is how you can fix it. So there's a lot going on in here, and I'm going to show you the 10 things I hate and give you 11 ideas for things that you can do better in your shop. Let's go. I hate that my miter station takes up so much space. You have to have a large area to the left and to the right to make sure you can get big enough boards. Mine does up to 10 feet long. The problem is that whenever you just have it on the table, you'll put stuff there and then you got to move everything. What I did differently is I put in these Red House Tool supports. These have a fence. That way I don't put anything on there that gets in the way of the fence. Now the plywood that I'm pulling down was actually my first diode laser. This was my setup. I had it on a hinge so that I could fold it up and get it out of the way. I have a fan there to act as a fume extractor. One of the really cool things that I think was really cool and a smart thing to do was that I actually used a large porcelain tile as the base. You can see it burned through, but it never affected it. It was 24 by 24. You can get it at Home Depot, and it's a great way to make sure that everything underneath the laser is safe and doesn't start on fire, because it's not going to burn through that. Now you can see I just fold it back up, lock it into place, and I put the fan up there because it's hot out. So like I said, this Red House Tool setup is a great way to improve my miter station area, but even without that, the laser setup is really useful. One of the problems of any garage shop is the fact that you have a garage door and you're going to use this for storage. You're going to lean more stuff up against it. But it's a pain in the butt, especially if it's metal, not to make use of it. So one of the things I did was I took all my router bits and I made a nice, easy piece with a magnet along the back. The magnet sits on the metal garage door and allows me to move this and have it at hand whenever I need it. When it comes to your workspace, you want to make sure that you have vacuums and anything you need really close at hand. And it's really hard in a smaller area whenever you don't necessarily have space to keep everything stored. So what I did is I put in a wall to act as a support beam for my storage. And then on that wall, I'm able to keep all of my sanders. I have the Shop-vac sitting next to it. And I have this piece that I put in place to support the hoses of my sanders and move them around as I need it. Because I know that when I'm sanding, if the hose isn't supported, it pulls on the back of the vacuum and really messes us up. But what's nice is that I can move this and extend it however I need it, so I can get support and vacuuming wherever I'm working. And here's a close-up of the area just so you can see how I have everything organized in case it gives you any ideas. All right, I'm sure that like for most of us, having this empty space in our table saw is a pain in the butt. One of the things you can do is make a router table to fit in and support that area. What I decided to do instead is I have a rolling cart with an open top that sits right here. I have all of my pieces that I need for the table saw. I've got blades and guides and all sorts of drawer storage here that I can use, as well as being able to put stuff here and store between the two. So having this open space is no good. Storing the stuff there is. So I didn't realize it, but this was bothering me more than anything else. This sits in front of my workbench, so I don't work here. And it's always in my way. And I just realized the other day something I can do to help me with this space. Before we do anything, this is a support piece. I want you to see that it slots out to the angle at an angle so I can have more space coming out. And it's just bolted in place. All right, I can pick this piece up. It's made out of a heavy-duty butcher block and it locks in place. I've got clamps at this end, and I drew 3 lines on the bench top to line up with those 3 bolts so I can easily just set it up, grab the toggle, and clamp it in place. And you can see that's pretty easy. So what I like about this is it goes over the vacuum, so I can still use that if I need it. I can pull out tools because clamping is always an issue. This is my clamping station. I can clamp this in place. If I want to use my flattening jig, I can set this up easily. So I can flatten pieces. If I feel the need to plane something, I really want you to see how stable this whole setup is. It's not moving, it's not shaking at all, even though there's only those 2 toggle clamps holding it in place.
So going along with this workbench idea, here's some other tips that I told you I'd tell you about. The first is this bench topper. Now, I designed this thing because I wanted the micro jig grooves, but I didn't want them on my workbench all the time. I wanted a smooth, flat surface, and then I wanted to be able to have that when I needed it. Sort of like my portable router table. I don't have space for another tool like a router table when I can do this. I can clamp it to the corner of any bench, and I have a router table ready to set up. The nice thing about that bench edition is that I can have it set up when I need it and sand and then come back instead of storing things elsewhere. Now here's one other tip for you. This plane till that I made has that secret compartment. Make use of all of your space. Don't waste it. This is one of the worst problems with an older garage. My garage floor is pitted and nasty. If I have tools with wheels on it, they're not going to roll anywhere. If I drop a project or a tool, it's going to get damaged. So I put pressure treated boards over the concrete because they're moisture resistant, and then I put OSB on top, OSB flooring, because it's cheap and easy. I put polyurethane over everything, and it's comfortable. It lasts forever. There are parts that still have the original polyurethane, and it hasn't even worn off yet. All right, before I talk about what I hate about this area, let's talk about what it is. This is my wood storage. I've got all my larger slabs. I've got some 5-foot and 4-foot sections, and I've got smaller sections and plywood over here. Now, the problem with this setup is that if I put the 2 pieces together, I'm going to wind up with all this wasted space like I had in my old shop. I couldn't get to all those places. But the problem is that I have 13-foot boards, so I needed to have the roof space so that I could put the longer boards up. So while it's not ideal, what I did is I put shelves in there and bar clamps that I don't use as much, and that rolling cart that I have just has a lot of thin stock on it, so I can pull that in and out. Now that area, the open area in front of the lumber storage, is one of my main work areas, especially for larger stuff. So I've got these rolling stands for when I have to, use longer boards. So to get them out and put them back, I just lean past that cart of thin stock. It's not even in my way. And back here is also my favorite way to store my bar clamps. It's just a groove in plywood that's screwed to that plywood wall. Now, I realize that this corner is not exciting, but I think it's important that we talk about what to do with these corners and how to make them useful. This is another problem corner. I really hate the fact that I can't put anything here because of the door and then the panel box. So what I did is that's all my screw storage, and then that green box are pieces that are going for the fireplace inside. Behind the door, you have to make sure that you have space for it to open all the way. So I made a small cabinet to go there that wouldn't block the door if you open it all the way, and this is where I keep the rest of my clamps. I just did that same idea with the grooves in the plywood. It screwed onto the edge of the cabinet, and it's set for these Harbor Freight clamps.
Now let's talk about the first thing you're going to see when you walk into my shop, and that's going to be the table saw and this Outfeed table. Now this Outfeed table was originally made to house my old CNC.
So here's that original setup. I still think it was a great idea. It was a great place to put the CNC. I got it out of the way. I had the Outfeed table when I needed it, and everything fit within there. Now, I no longer needed that, so I cut it down, but I still wanted to keep that folding top because I know myself well enough that if I just left it as an open area, it's going to become a mess, and I'm never going to be able to access anything. So having that folding top allows me to get in there, clean up stuff, find what I need, close it off. Those metal pieces on the front are actually called clamp companions. They're from Timber River Tool Company. They're made to be used with pipe clamps. Now, there's a special piece that goes on, and you can actually fit those in there and adjust it to different heights. This is actually made to go on a wall. I wanted to put them here because in this garage shop that we have no space on the walls, I didn't know where else to put it. So it made sense to me to put it on the end of the Outfeed table where there's space. And with this, I can easily glue up 5-foot panels, 4-foot panels with pipe clamps, and then move it and put it out of the way or do another one. When I originally posted about this on my socials, a lot of people liked the idea. Well, some people liked the idea, but one of the things I heard a lot was that I was going to run into it, and I couldn't argue with them. So I actually made a cover for it, and I like that a lot because it gives me a little extra space because I still do regular glue ups here, and that allows my handles to hang over the edge.
So I really wanted to do a shop tour. I wanted to show everyone around, but you know, there's so many shops, there's so many of the same ideas. I wanted to show you guys some of the things that I know that I've done different in my shop. One of the common issues we all have is I need a workbench, but I have to have it against the wall in order to have an open space. Having this piece here allows me to work on both sides. When I made that plane tail, I was able to do things here and then come over to the other side, which is super helpful. I've done a lot of different things, and I hope that you've gotten an idea for something in your shop. What I really want you to do, leave a comment. Tell me what you liked. Tell me if there's something you learned. Tell me if there's something else you'd like to hear. I would love to be able to show more of it. I've got a ton of ideas, just simple things that really make a difference in the shop and allow me to be more efficient, because being in a small space and being effective means that you have to be efficient. You have to have a lot of systems in place to allow you to make the most out of your space. So drop a comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to see. Just say hi. Have a great day.